We're going to take a quick break from Chicago and everything going on with Mayor Brandon Johnson and visit another city on the East Coast. I've got to admit, I've traveled all over this country, and one of my favorite cities to visit is New York. It's a great city. There's almost nothing you can imagine that you can't do. Now, I'm a Chicago native, so I prefer the squares, but great pizza, great nightlife. The next time you're there, make sure you visit this club in Manhattan called the Dead Rabbit. There's always something going on. There's very, very little I can say negative about New York City. But then I have to remember incidents like this.
Stunning new video of a gang-fueled massacre in real time. 40 rounds fired in 6 seconds as innocent people scurry to safety. A killing field, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, which released the footage from troubled hangout known as Taste of the City. The firefight leaving 3 dead and 10 wounded in August. This evidence released Wednesday after the FBI arrested the first of 3 alleged shooters. Prosecutors say Elijah Roy, seen highlighted in yellow, was one of 5 people to open fire. 2 of the gunmen were killed.
Quick story. When I would travel to New York on business, I would usually stay in Manhattan. One particular weekend I went there, or one particular day I went there, and the UN was in town, and I was trying to find a hotel, and the only place I could find a vacancy was on Long Island City. Not knowing any better, not knowing that that was Queens. So I'm driving through New York like I normally would through Manhattan, and I see the neighborhood gradually starting to change. I see the steel shutters and I see the graffiti on the steel shutters. That's how you know you're in the bad part of New York. When you start to see those steel shutters on those businesses, that's when you know you need to turn around. But that's what happened here. Let's just say it. In Brooklyn, you heard that? 40 shots in 6 seconds. And of course, you're going to see the mother here. She's being questioned. And of course, she's distraught. Take a look at this.
Was he at the club that day? The 25-year-old suspect's mother and sister leaving the courthouse after Roy's arraignment without comment. However, the alleged gang member cried as he was led to jail and told his family, "I want to go home."
So he was all big and bad when he was out at the club in Brooklyn, and he and 4 other people shooting into a crowd of people who were just out enjoying themselves, just socializing at a local establishment, having a drink. But he was big. He was a big tough guy when he had that gun in his hand. And like I said, 40 shots being let off in less than 6 seconds. But then when he gets to court, he's crying and he wants to go home with his mom. Obviously, this is a young man who is the product of being raised by a single mother, because you don't see the father in there. You don't see him crying for his father. He's crying for his mommy, this 25-year-old tough guy.
He's a 25-year-old young man who's in federal custody, just got transported from 20-hour lockdown in North Carolina. Of course he's scared.
The feds say they found the ex-con hiding out in North Carolina, alleging 2 Brooklyn rival gangs chose to settle a score, putting countless lives in the crosshairs. Out of the 10 shooting survivors, at least 2 have filed lawsuits against the Taste of the City Lounge for not providing adequate security that night, they say, which has left them with lasting physical and emotional scars. One of them, Amadou Ba, is represented by attorney Nick Romcheritar.
When he entered the lounge, no one searched him. They waved him through.
Saying the 25-year-old is now unable to work his construction job after being shot in the ankle.
Because of that, he suffers from PTSD. He's scared to go into just a normal establishment.
As to who shot whom, Roy's attorney says it's unclear.
I can't make heads or tails of what is or isn't in his hand on the video. What I saw was my client leaving a establishment and falling down.
Whether he left with a smoking gun will be for a jury to decide.
And that's why people hate lawyers. Just some scumbag attorneys. The one attorney saying, "Oh, my client can't work. You know, he's got PTSD. He's worried about walking into a normal establishment." The other attorney for the guy who was crying, "Oh, the tape that I saw just shows my client just leaving the establishment empty-handed." This is the thing that's wrong with our system, is that people go out and they commit these heinous acts, then you get some attorney who's going to represent you, and they're going to try and get you off. And then you got the mother sitting there distraught, doesn't want to talk to the reporter because now she's so embarrassed and my baby never hurt nobody. It's just, and then you see this kind of thing go on. You see innocent people being killed. You see innocent people being hurt. The person who owns this establishment now his business is in jeopardy because he's being sued because he didn't pat down the guys who were coming into the establishment. And let's be honest, if there were 5 black dudes who were walking into this establishment at night and they did have a gun, if they did have someone there who was going to try and pat them down, they probably told the person, hey, don't touch me or I'm going to do something to you. So now they're afraid. They let the person in there. It's just a whole snowball effect. So you've got this 25-year-old man who's going to go to jail, big tough guy crying for his mom. You've got his scumbag attorney saying nothing, he didn't do anything wrong. He just left the establishment empty-handed. You've got this business now that's potentially in jeopardy. They might have to close their doors. So there goes that sales tax revenue to the city. There goes those employees' jobs. There goes another place in the community that's now gone and has the reputation of being dangerous. And after all of this, you see this happen in democratic cities all over the country, all the time, and you see them happen in black neighborhoods with regularity. After all of this, you have the federal government saying that they want to send in the National Guard to fortify local police to try and decrease this antisocial behavior, and it's being met with resistance at every turn. It just doesn't make sense. Let me know. Am I crazy? Am I off base for feeling the way that I feel? Jump down in the comments. Let's get this conversation started. But most of all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm going to be going around to various cities. We've hit Chicago a ton. We've touched on Memphis. Now we're going to be talking about New York, but we're going to continue to talk about these democratic cities where we see this type of behavior metastasizing and just getting worse by the day. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.